Good evening, everyone, and welcome to our Star Awards meet and greet from our 2022 National Convention Star Award winners. So I thank you so much for joining us tonight. We're going to give everyone just a few minutes to join us. So please feel free to join in, and our Star Award winners are here with us along with our Star Award committee. So welcome, familia. Please feel free to join in on our chat. We've got plenty of time to meet all of our Star Award winners. I'm going to just throw up on the screen here just who will be joining us tonight while we're going to be talking with our Star Award winners. Some of our panelists tonight who are joining us include our Hispanic and Technology Award winner, which is Rudy Garcia from Sandia National Laboratories. Our Manager of the Year, which is Gerardo Zúñiga Guerra from Medtronic. Our Dr. Ellen Ochoa Award winner, Joelle Romeu from the Boeing Company. Our Community Service Award winner, Mónica Morales from Jacobs. We have our Ship Star of Today winner from Gabriela Sánchez from General Motors. Our Diversity Award winner, Maira Garcia from Honeywell Aerospace. And our Educator of the Year Award winner for K-12, César Barahona from New London Adult and Continuing Education. And also with us tonight is Valerie Valenzuela. She is with the Star Award Committee, and Linda Renteria. They're both longtime members with us, lifetime members, as well as they're part of the amazing Star Award Committee who not only take in all the nominations, work with all the Star Award members, and they are the ones who work with everyone. So I'm going to hand it over to them. They are going to be our hostesses for the evening and take it away from there. Please make sure tonight, as you have questions, to put them into our Q&A. There is a Q&A panel in there, so they will be monitoring that, but please feel free to put them in there and they will be monitoring that through the evening. So with that, Valerie and Linda, the show is yours.
Buenas tardes and welcome to meet and greet. We did this at the conference too, and we also started during the pandemic when we had the Zoom conferences, and it really worked well because it's wonderful, valuable to learn from all of you, to inspire all of our community in with SHIP and Latino engineers, Hispanic engineers. So to get started, we'd like to hear from each one of you, just a little overview, career path, 1 to 2 minutes, and then we can get started while our audience, fabulous audience, comes up with questions. Okay, so who would like to start? Okay, Joelle, you want to start, please? And then we'll go on.
Sure. Hola, everybody. My name is Joelle Romeu. I work for the Boeing Company. I'm the Dr. Ellen Ochoa awardee for last year. I'm very proud of that. My quick background, I was born and raised in Puerto Rico and in Guaynabo. There might be some other Boricuas on the line. I got an aerospace engineering degree from Iowa State University, and I started working for Boeing actually fairly early in my career. I started as an intern in structures in Washington State, a co-op in controls and navigation in California, and frankly, once I made it to California, I never looked back. Then I was a co-op as a systems engineer in California, and that's actually kind of what kept my attention the most. I really like the system level architecture view of things. I like to talk about what I studied in those kind of specific types of classes, especially with SHIP, because there's a lot more students and there may be things that you're studying right now. But quickly, I spent 20 years in the aerospace industry. supporting commercial and defense customers. And when I think of my engagements, especially with them, I always talk about like my 12-year-old self would be most impressed by the fact that I've supported rocket launches and I've supported initialization of spacecraft and satellites, and just being in mission control on console. It's just, I would have never imagined that I could do that in my career. That's it.
Mónica,
next?
thank you. Mónica, I think is next.
Okay.
Please.
Yeah, Mónica Morales. I am a water resources engineer at Jacobs. My father was born and raised in León, Guanajuato, Mexico, and my mother was adopted, but she found out her biological father was from Jalisco, Mexico, and her mother is a mix of German, Irish, and maybe Russian. She had red hair. And so I was a first generation college student. I received my bachelor's and master's degrees from Oregon State University. So I went out of state for school during the economic crisis. And it was a big leap of faith to do so, coming from a low income family. But I did it. And with very minimal student loans, I got my master's degree fully funded, and did a few internships, which made me fall in love with the water side of civil engineering. And today I'm helping solve future droughts in Southern California while working from Reno, Nevada. So I was able to go full circle. I lived in Oregon, Ohio for a year, Los Angeles for 5 years, and then moved back to Reno. So it's been 14 years that I've lived out of state, and now I get to live near family and old friends again, which is really fantastic, while still working on really amazing projects spanning the West Coast from Utah, Nevada, and California wide. We'll see if I can get another project in the Pacific Northwest and just continue with all the really amazing, cool water projects to help provide people at large clean water. So that's my background. And then I also received the Community Service Award. I have it right here. And a major reason I believe I received it is sharing my first generation college student journey with other kids like me from similar backgrounds, from low income families, first generation college bound students, students of color, and girls. I've reached maybe over 10,000 students within the last 6 years by visiting schools on Fridays, and also working with programs over the weekends and doing as many virtual opportunities as possible, and then doing some fully funded field trips for students. So we're going to have another one this spring for an elementary school that I went to, and just knowing that the kids in the neighborhood that I grew up in are going to really benefit from it. So continuing to serve and really excited about it.
Great. Thank you, Mónica. Okay. Anybody else want to volunteer, or I will pick the volunteer? Gabriela.
I can go. Hello, everyone. Gabriela Sánchez-Sorondo. If I don't say my second last name, my mom is going to call me. I'm born and raised in Puerto Rico. I actually went to the University of Puerto Rico, Mayagüez, for my undergrad in industrial engineering. And then I did my master's in engineering management at the University of Michigan. I live in Michigan, happily married to my high school sweetheart. We have 2 wiener dogs, keep us company. It's very cold here compared to where we grew up, but we really can't complain. I've had like a very exciting career. So it's been 10 years since I graduated. And actually my first job was with Lockheed Martin in Arkansas. And I remember struggling because I couldn't speak English. And that was like, with that and the Southern accent and whatnot, it was very complicated, but really good experience. And I somehow got into the manufacturing world, starting with Lockheed, and then got an internship with GM, and ended up being my full-time job after I graduated. And I've been with GM except for 4 years where I went to Chrysler, now Stellantis, and I've had the opportunity to do plant assignments as an industrial engineer, production, just mainly looking for how do we make the process more efficient? How do we reduce waste out of the process and reduce cost? So that's kind of been my journey up to now my role is a manufacturing innovation manager. So it's a cool, different role. I get to find technologies to bring into the plants to help improve plant performance or just make everyone's lives easier. So it's really exciting space to be in. And I'm very, very fortunate. I did win the Ship Star of Today award, and I'm very, very proud of that. And I also got the GMIS Luminary Award last year.
Okay, so we'll go with no volunteers again. Oh, great, César, thank you. Go ahead.
Good evening, everyone. It's pretty cold in southeastern Connecticut today. It was snowing. So I was born and raised in Peru. I came to the US at the age of 19. I came not knowing English. I am the son of 2 doctors. My mom is a pediatrician, retired pediatrician, so is my dad, retired surgeon. I went to do my bachelor degree in actuarial science. I was working in actuarial science for about 10 years. In those 10 years before I was working in the corporate world, I did a couple of internships, and I really enjoyed my career as in the pension field. I was managing retirement plans, for a small consulting firm here in Connecticut. But after 10 long years of working very hard and long hours, you name it, I had to make a decision whether or not family was important. So I decided to switch my career from actuarial science in the corporate world to becoming a teacher, a public school teacher. So I had to come back and do my master's degree in teaching. And I got a job with the adult and continuing education here in Connecticut, in London. I've been there for about, I think right now this is my 13th year there. And I help the students achieve their high school diploma, whether they do it through credit programs or they do it through the GED. So the beauty about adult education is that the students come from all kinds of backgrounds, all kinds of social circumstances. And my job is to help them achieve their dreams and to actually teach somebody who doesn't know math, who doesn't like math, who has math anxiety, to actually wanting to learn math is quite a journey. However, I've been very successful at it because somehow, somewhere, teaching comes very natural to me. And I use different types of strategies. I make a live, I dance for them, I sing for them. I do what I had to do to hook them into the lesson. But the students eventually they get the GED, whether it's in English or in Spanish. And as a part-time job, I also work at the Middlesex Community College. As a matter of fact, today it was my first class in pre-calc. So I have to say that when I compare the business world to the teaching world, there's not much difference, except that in the teaching world, here I'm helping students to develop their cognitive skills, skills that they need before they jump into college. So all I have to say is that it's been a great journey. It's been quite a hectic time, but I have no regrets. I think I love the fact that I became a teacher, and that's why today I'm holding my Educator of the Year Award 2022. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I mean, it's great to hear from both sides. It's wonderful. We need teachers. We need a lot of teachers, good teachers. Okay, so Maira, would you like to go next? And then Gerardo after that, please. Thank you.
Hi, everybody. Hola a todos. I see a lot of folks from Ship Phoenix, so it's really exciting. My name is Maira Garcia. I work at Honeywell Aerospace. I graduated from the University of Arizona, and I attribute a lot of my success to Ship. I actually got an internship for Honeywell after going on a little lab tour of an aerodynamics lab at the U of A that Ship organized. So just from the very beginning of my career, Ship has always been there. So I currently work at Honeywell as a flight control systems engineer. And throughout my 9 years there, I've had the ability to jump around on different projects and different departments. And so I've touched flight controls, I've touched flight management systems, and I've also worked on engines. I've gone on flight tests. I've done simulated flight testing, just a lot of really cool stuff from getting my degree in aerospace engineering. I did receive the diversity award this last year, and it was a really rewarding experience to go up on stage and just share my whole experience with SHIP. I think I got the award because of my unofficial job title at Honeywell, which is the SHIP recruiting program manager. So I lead all of our recruiting efforts at Honeywell across all of our business groups, and that is what makes my role really fulfilling. So I really enjoyed the engineering aspect, but of course, like all of us here, we care about giving back. So I'm really excited to hear from the rest of the panelists and just get really good questions from the SHIP attendees. So thank you so much. And my parents are from Chihuahua, Mexico, but I was born and raised in Phoenix, Arizona.
Okay, Gerardo, you want to go? Thank you,
I
Maira.
have no choice, right? Yeah, so good evening. My name is Gerardo Zúñiga.
We
Guerra.
saved the best for last, okay? That's okay. You all
Absolutely.
wonderful. You guys are all wonderful. Go ahead.
Thank you. Gerardo Zúñiga Guerra. I still can't believe that I'm comfortable today saying my name in Spanish and using my two last names as well. It took me about 10 years being in the US to feel comfortable doing it. But I'm happy that it just comes naturally nowadays. I'm very proud to work for Medtronic. So I'm the director of the project management office and operational excellence in the quality organization. If you don't know Medtronic, we put patients first. I mean, it's our focus to alleviate pain, restore health, and extend lives. My career started in Mexico. So I'm from Monterrey, Mexico. I went to school there, electronics and communications engineering degree. I started doing robotics and automation programming when I started my career. Did manufacturing engineering later. One of the stories that I like to chat, when I became a manufacturing engineer, I was actually a tier 1 automotive supplier. So building components for General Motors and Chrysler and others. And one of the first problems that I had to solve is, why did we ship a frame with a bag of empty potato chips on the frame? And it went to the customer. And as a manufacturing engineer, I had to go in and solve that problem. I was like, oh man, I went to electronics school and this is a problem that I have to solve. But you never know what you run into when you're in the workforce. I moved to Knoxville, Tennessee later in life, and then I moved to Medtronic. And then I have an 8-year-old son, and I would like to joke, he doesn't believe that I'm an engineer because he walks by and I'm in a Zoom call and I'm not building machines like he wants me to. But hopefully he'll be the one that does it in the future. I got recognized, so I'm very, very, very proud that my company, and then you start looking at my team members, so recognize me as the manager of the year. So when you are you're a people manager, there's probably no better recognition than that. So I'm very happy that I was recognized like that.
That's great. Thank you, guys. Do you see why you guys got the award? Because you're fabulous. You are wonderful. Valerie, so I don't see any questions yet from our audience, but Valerie, you want to lead with the other question?
So I'm going to go ahead and just jump right in. One of the questions I know that we had shared with during our in-person panel, which we found very, very conversational, was, as speakers with more established careers, what are skills that are essential on the job? And are there any that you're still improving on? So who would like to take on that question? Oh, Mónica, thank you.
Yeah, I think it's always the most difficult is working well with other people. You're going to meet and face many different personalities, and it'll be something you'll always have to work on as you grow in your career, whether that's taking direction and working well with others, or providing communication for people doing work for you, or having difficult conversations with people when they aren't meeting expectations, or trying to motivate others. So communication and those soft skills and leadership skills, finding your leadership style is always going to be something that you're going to work on throughout your career, and something that you can build right now. So if you can work within a team outside of your studies on a hands-on project. That's a really good way to understand, how you see your role, maybe push yourself a little bit, and then also start developing those leadership skills. And then maybe also get in those circumstances where you have to have those hard conversations. And with the, those kinds of projects that are low risk, they're not, $1 billion projects, et cetera. You can build those skills with a safety net. So I always attribute these organizations to be really fantastic ways to build on those skills outside of work and then use it in work.
Can go next. Another skill that has served me well in my 9 years as an engineer, which might not seem that long to a lot of people, but to me it feels pretty long, is learning how to advocate for yourself. When I graduated from college, and I think this comes from a very Latino background, right? I think we all have very similar experiences. You expect that if you're doing a really great job or if you're working really hard, that it will get noticed and that you will get promoted and you will get those really great projects that have a lot of visibility, but that's not always the case, especially in really big companies. So one thing that I had to learn how to do, and this took me a little bit, which is why I always give this advice, is learn how to advocate for yourself. Even if it seems like you're bragging, just do it anyway, because your managers might not always know what you're doing. They might not always know that you kicked the ball out of the field, or you did a really great job and it was noticed in a different department, but not within your own group. So just make sure that you are always sharing your accomplishments. What I like to do at the end of every week, I have a Word document and I just write down like 1 or 2 big things that I did that week, that I finished a project or I made a new connection. And then I take that Word document at the end of the year, or whenever I have a performance review or whenever I have a one-on-one with my manager, and I just talk about it. So just learn to advocate for yourself. Do that now. Your peers are doing it. So if you're not, you're just going to fall behind. So that's my advice. Work on that skill.
You had your hand up? Would you like to go?
Yeah, I completely, I was going to say something else, but I completely agree. And I would say that, when we talk about the need or the being scared to advocate for yourself, find allies, find mentors, have a buddy who will maybe highlight what you did and you can highlight what she or he did. And, you would do it for others. It's hard to do it for ourselves. So take advantage of that. And then I guess the last thing I would add, it is still really hard for me to set boundaries. And I think in this day and age, especially when virtual work, hybrid work, and all that is so common, it is important to do so. And early in my career, I didn't as much. And now that I didn't mention it earlier in the first 2 minutes, but I'm a mom. I have an 11-year-old daughter that I'm extremely proud of. And she helps me set that boundary because it makes it easier to say, there are things that are very important to my family and very important to her. And I kind of, I can't call it balance. It's hard to have it be a balance, but there's like a space. And maybe this week, there's something super important with customers where I ahead of time say, hey, honey, my husband, my daughter, I'm not going to be available. We set stuff up ahead of time, and there may be some things I missed, but maybe there's like a play or a project or there's something else that's super important to her. And then it's my highest priority and it doesn't matter. Then I set the help at work so somebody else can cover.
Anybody else want to chime in before we move on to the next question? No, we're good. Oh, César?
Yes, I would like to add that having changed from business to teaching, a skill that I learned when I was in corporate was to be consistent. So I had to be consistent every single day, knowing that I had to give my 100% at every project that I had to do while I was in a team leader. And when I became a teacher, I'm able to share my experience with my students. I let them know that if they are consistent every single day in their homeworks or their quizzes or the tests, in their performance, eventually they're gonna get so good at that. They're gonna get so used to it that they will try to achieve their best. But again, it's a long process. It's a long process. They have to be patient, just like I was patient when I was a young analyst. But now as a teacher, I see that our students work hard and they put their time into it and they become dedicated to the subject area. Eventually they will reach their goals. So yeah, consistency is key to achieve the long-term goals.
Looks like we have a couple questions from the audience here. So
Well, Valerie, excuse
oh,
me,
I'm
hold on a
sorry.
second. I just want to make sure we introduce Rudy. Rudy, can you, thank you for joining, Rudy. And can you say what award you won and just a little 1 to 2 minute overview of your career path, please? Rudy? Okay, well, Rudy's computer joined us, but maybe not yet him. So let's go ahead. What are you going to say, Valerie? Go ahead, please.
Oh, no, I was just going to say we have 2 questions from the audience. So I'm going to go ahead and read off, and hopefully Rudy can get his audio. It doesn't show that you're muted, but maybe if you want to log out and log back in, maybe that'll trigger something, Rudy. But we can't hear you right now. Okay, perfect. All right, so the first question from the audience is, what has been the greatest adventure you have had at your job or position, or with your position? So would anyone like to take that question on?
I'd love to start with that one.
Okay, go ahead, Gerardo.
I was waiting for something like that. So I'm gonna go back into a role that I had before, and I'll tell you why it was what I think was an amazing experience. So I have been working in the manufacturing environment, so pretty close in building product, making sure you have good quality, good output. When I was in Medtronic, when I joined Medtronic, I was doing the same thing. So I was responsible for a manufacturing area. We're building components that later were going to be assembled in a different manufacturing location, and then later will become the medical devices that are saving people's lives today, right? But I was 2 or 3 steps away from the customer. So I always watch patient stories. I always made that connection of what is it that this product is doing to save someone's life. But when I had the opportunity to go in and get as close as you can to the patient, that was just an amazing experience. So a few years ago, and this is the importance of being part of employee resources groups or associations like SHPE. In Medtronic, there was a need about doing a project in a heart failure clinic in Peru. And what they needed was someone from manufacturing that knew Lean Six Sigma and speak Spanish. So there were not a lot of us. So I raised my hand and I said, well, I can do both. I went into Peru, and it was one of my best experiences because I went in first day, meet the hospital administrators, met the leader of the heart failure clinic, understood the problem they're trying to solve and what was the needs of the patients at that clinic. And I had to transfer my engineering Lean Sigma experience into a hospital setting. What is the problem they're trying to solve, and what is the benefit to our patients? And then, so I understood that. Then they took me to the different areas in where they were receiving patients, how they were processing them, and the outcomes. So I had the opportunity to meet a couple of patients, understood where the areas of opportunities, and I could see firsthand, right, the product that I was making in Minneapolis, that my team was making, like I'm in Latin America today in a clinic in Peru, and I can see how this product is going to save this patient and other. So to me, it's just phenomenal to see some of the engineering skills that we're learning at school and then at work, how transferable they can be. And then the power that some of us have about speaking 2 languages, you never know when they become handy like that, and you have an awesome experience in your career.
Oh, thank you so much for that, Gerardo. Is there anyone else that would like to take on that question?
So before we move on, Gerardo, you mentioned that one of the projects that you got at the very beginning was a bag of potato chips, and I want to know what happened.
What was it? Well,
No.
so when you are building, when you're supporting an automaker, I mean, there's very robust processes and problem solving. So back then we're doing the 8 disciplines process to understand how did this happen? And you are working with people. And when you're looking in and understanding the environment, and then the breaks that they had 10-15-minute break. They had to come back to the line and build product again. And the environment of rush into, I need to build good quality product. I need to get back on time. I'm hungry. The machine is here. And then they were on a rush. So this was something that an employee was, I need to get back because they're asking me to, and I'm not supposed to be throwing away trash on the floor. And they thought they could put it on that frame and then later come back and put it in the trash can. So it was something about not realizing the impact that they could have, and then not knowing that by the time they went to the production line, we're gonna forget about that. So that's what happened, Linda. So we had to had a checklist for them and making sure that they were placing the break areas accordingly far away from product to make sure that couldn't happen again.
Thank you.
So in my case, I have to say, for instance, to answer the question is, once again, when I refer back to my years in corporate, I was asked by one of my managers then, when I was a young analyst, if you were to explain your job to somebody who doesn't know anything about your job, how will you do it? What kind of language will you use? Will you be able to break it down to the person? So now, as a teacher, that's exactly what I do. I try to break down a particular math concept for students who probably didn't finish high school, students who probably came only to 2nd grade or 3rd grade back in the homeland. And so having to develop the right teaching strategy for that student and to work with and to stay with them and to encourage them and to empower them, to make them believe that they can achieve their goals, it has been a great adventure as a teacher.
I think Gabriela has her hand up, and then Maira.
And then Maira.
Yeah.
Sure thing. So when I mentioned I worked for Chrysler for a little bit. So when I was there, actually Fiat and Chrysler merged. And so somehow I got the opportunity to go to Italy with vice presidents, directors, managers, and me to go and study their organizational structure at the plants and bring that to North America and help launch it. So it was really cool, obviously, to see a different country, see the culture, you know, just like drinking espresso every 2 hours, no joke. But obviously just learning their culture and how much they care and how much they work together, right, to bring that to North America. And then when I came back to GM, I actually got the opportunity to do the same thing in Brazil. So I was part of a group. We went down to Brazil and did kind of the same exercise. We were studying plant structure to then launch it here in the US, just kind of benchmarking a different region from GM. And I actually got the opportunity to be a continuous improvement manager at one of our plants after making that trip. So really, really exciting adventure and opportunity.
I didn't get to go to Italy, so I'm really jealous. But I got to go to Scottsdale, which is like 20 minutes away from Phoenix for my great adventure. So I was a brand new engineer. I was working in flight controls, and I think I was there for maybe 3 or 4 months. And one day I was just doing my job. I was doing some vibration analysis on a helicopter. And my team lead just comes into my area and he says, "Hey, drop what you're doing. Let's go. We're going on a flight test." And I'm like, "What?" I have a few things I need to get done, but I had obviously been wanting to go on a flight test for a long time. And so I just dropped everything I was doing. I got my laptop and then I just went to the Scottsdale airport and I got to go on a flight test. I got briefed. I met the pilots. I met with a few other technical leads. And it was really exciting because I had no idea it was going to happen. And then it was a day where all I did was spend my day in the air because we did 2 flight tests that day. So it was really awesome. And from that, I learned that no matter how wild something sounds at work, or if you have deadlines, if your technical lead tells you to get up, let's go on a flight test, you say yes every time. But it was really awesome. And it really reminded me of the fact that I chose the right major and the right company and the right career, because it was a fantastic day. And still to this day, it's one of the best days that I've had in my role.
Wow, I mean, to be able to just take off and go and make it happen and fulfill that, that list, that bucket list, or, whatever your work list, or you just want to go ahead and just jump on in. So that's really, really great. I want to go ahead, before we move forward, I want to go ahead and have Rudy introduce himself. Rudy Garcia, if you want to go ahead, you have the floor.
Okay, sorry about that. I think, can everyone hear me first of all?
Yes, we can.
All right, awesome. Rudy Garcia. I work at Sandia National Laboratories. I live born and raised in Albuquerque, New Mexico. Let's see, went to my UNM here in Albuquerque, studied computer engineering, and then I got what's called a GEM fellowship to go to Boston University, and did my master's in computer engineering there. And then I've been working at a couple other places, and then I've been at Sandia. This is my 25th year at Sandia. I think one of the questions was most memorable or most enjoyable. Back in, I think it was 1998, which I know is a long time for a lot of folks. Might have been 99. I got an opportunity to install a remote monitoring station in Helsinki, Finland. And so we went out there for 2 weeks to install a system of sensors and cameras and in the facility that's very similar to Sandia. That is, it's one of their national labs. This was in response to the Chernobyl accident that happened in the mid-90s, where what happened was that after that, the country of Finland decided to instrument their entire country with sensors to monitor any kind of radiation or plumes that might come in from other countries, including places like Russia. So I got to go out there and hang out with the Finns and do some really cool stuff. But the really neat thing was they invited me back to go to the IAEA, which is the International Atomic Energy Agency in Vienna, Austria, and do a co-presentation and demo with the Finnish folks that I installed the system in Helsinki. So what the thing that was the most amazing and astonishing, and I always, to this point, I feel kind of ashamed, is that you would go to a place like the IAEA, which is in Vienna, and there was maybe 120 plus, maybe 130 countries there. And you'd walk down the hallway and you hear everyone speaking in their native language. And I was lost looking for a German that I had worked with. And I stopped and asked someone, and, in mid-sentence, they stopped from speaking their language and started speaking to me in English. And you heard that throughout the whole building itself. And so I find it interesting that we make others learn English, right? But it was a very memorable occasion for me, and it was a lot of fun. So that's just a little bit about me and some memorable situation for me.
Thank you, Rudy.
Mm-hmm. Thank you very much for that. And Rudy was the Hispanic and Technology Award winner for government, and like he said, he was in his career for over 32 years in the software data systems researcher and data architect. So definitely has a lot of experience to share. So we can't wait to hear from everyone. to be able to share those experiences. So next question that we're going to go ahead and move on to is from Juan Bahena. What has been your favorite ship memory? And we'll take a couple of responses here. Oh, we have Maira and Rudy. Do you have your hand up still? So I'm not sure if if you want to keep your hand up or if you're ready to answer. But Maira, if you want to go ahead and take that question on.
Yeah, definitely. I just answered this for the SHIP U of A alumni page. So my favorite SHIP memory was my very first SHIP convention. And this was in 2014 in Indianapolis. And the reason why it's my favorite SHIP memory is because I'll preface this by saying that I grew up in West Phoenix. So a lot of people in West Phoenix are Mexican. So I never felt like a minority. And then I went to U of A and I looked around and I didn't see a whole lot of Hispanics until I joined SHIP. So I joined SHIP and I found this little community of Hispanic engineering students. And I thought that was impressive. There's a bunch of people who look like me and we're all studying engineering. And then I go to Indianapolis the very first day when we go and we're getting in line to get registrations, and you look around and there was thousands of us. That blew my mind. And that's when I realized SHIP was truly, truly special, that there's so many other chapters just like the one at my university. So that's forever been my favorite memory. And I just love seeing that every year there's just more and more, and all of the students I recruit for my company. So everybody that I talk to, they just get so much more impressive and so much more talented. So I will always cherish my first SHIP convention.
I completely agree. My favorite SHIP memory was definitely my first in-person SHIP conference, which was this past conference. I participated in both the virtual ones, and they're just not the same. And then, like you just said, being there in person with nearly 10,000 other Latino engineers and scientists was just absolutely incredible, especially from going to all these other conferences in engineering for civil engineering or water resources related items, where I'm the only younger female with black long hair, where I stick out like a sore thumb because I'm in a room full of older white gentlemen. And so to be with peers, and also I commented this to one of my coworkers who was also at the conference, like, not only are there all these Latinos, but everybody's dressed amazing. Like, I've never seen so much style at a conference before, and everybody's just having so much fun and laughing and, you know, being themselves. There's so much energy. And usually that isn't the case at other conferences, where it's just kind of more serious and, you know, gray. So I completely agree. That was definitely my favorite SHIP memory.
Perfect. Thank you, guys. Thank you so much for answering and sharing your memories. I mean, there's so many memories out there. Go ahead, Linda. I'm sorry.
I think Rudy just have his hand up.
Okay.
Yeah,
Go
I
ahead,
put my hand
Rudy.
back up. I'm trying to understand how these Zoom things work. Let's see, my favorite memory, other than the the award conference last year, and everyone is already stated just how impressive it was, and to see so many young Hispanics, that was quite special. My other one was my first SHIP conference, which was in 1986, I believe. Is either 86 or 87. And I was with the Hispanic Engineering Organization at University of New Mexico, and it was in LA. And got to go out there and just had a great time and met a lot of neat people, and got introduced to a lot of folks. So I think it was just fun getting on an airplane, because I think that had been not that many times that I actually got on airplanes, and then to go out to LA and just experience that whole environment was a lot of fun. So those are my two favorites.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that, Rudy. I'm gonna, César, I see your hand up. I was gonna go on to the next, but go ahead, César.
Well, I think this was my first conference at in Charlotte, and the fact that seeing my mother there with my wife, and they were so happy to see me there to give a speech before 1,500 people. It was nerve-wracking, but it was great because my mother came to the US when she was in her 40s, and she brought me to the US to fulfill my dreams. And it was happy. I was so happy to know to see my mother, that she was completely fulfilled, that her hard work, her sacrifice to bring me to the US paid off. And my wife, it's funny because I met her when I was a senior in college, and I was mentoring kids in calculus. And my wife was my girlfriend, and she said to me back then, "You should be a teacher." So the fact that when I was standing at the stage and giving my speech, I remember she said, "See, I told you, you should have been a teacher, and now you're a teacher."
Yep, mama always knows best, right?
So some of us have been around a long time, as Nicole said, and I started bringing my kids when they were 5, 7, and 9 to the conference for that same purpose. I wanted them to see where Latinos are. We are there. Of course, we're not highlighted in newspapers or in TV, but we are there. And so 2 out of 3 got math and science degrees. The next question is, how do you distress in times where you feel overwhelmed and get a sense that you do not belong? So who would like to answer that question?
I'll start. It's always going to somebody that you trust, a mentor. It can be at your company, outside your company, in the line of work, or again, maybe not an engineer at all. Someone that you can talk through the problem with and talk through your feelings with in a safe space, and then be able to vent and then build in terms of, okay, what can I do from this now? Was there something that I did as well that I can, improve in the future with this person or in this situation? Also, if it's a stressful project and you're all trying to beat a deadline, and you're seeing that people are making mistakes because things are going too fast, you can speak up to the project manager and say, hey, I think everybody could really benefit from an extra week. Is there any way you can talk to the client? And then this is from the consulting perspective, to say, if we could push out the deadline just 1 week, and it will be really valuable to the team. If you really see a situation like that, usually the project manager just needs that communication to know, hey, I understand. I didn't realize how stressed out you all were. We can definitely do this. I have a conversation with the client today, and I'll bring it up, and I'll let you know if we can get 2 weeks instead of just a week. If you have a really good project manager. So communication, first with someone you trust, and then understanding the situation, if there's something that you could improve on your end, as well as help the team on the other end. And if it's a personality that you're not used to working with, that's going to be a learning curve as well. So in times of stressful situations, I always go and talk to somebody I trust, and then build off of that, instead of just bottle it in and vent within, because that's unhealthy. You shouldn't bottle that in, because that's just going to lead to you burning out, and then probably making decisions that are on the spot, rather than something that'll be good for you in long term. And then exercise, do something creative that you enjoy, that you can zen out, meditate out of that situation to make you feel better.
Thank you. I'm not sure who was first, Joelle or Maira, but.
Not me, it was Joelle.
Joelle, go ahead, please.
There's something in this question that I think is really important, and it says, you do not belong. And I can't imagine, even though we think about it, I can't imagine many times in my entire career where I've really, I've had any situation where I really didn't belong, even if I did feel like it at first. And I mentioned this in the conference, and I'll mention it now, because I think sometimes we have we have people in the past have told us, like, you can't do this, or you shouldn't do this, or, you know, you don't belong here, or you know, you got this because of your background. And I, for a really long time, let those voices be like the voices in the back of my head when I had a question or you know, feared that I didn't know what I was doing. And I think we're here to tell you, you belong. We all have very different backgrounds. We all do very different things. And whatever you're passionate about, you know, learn it on the job, go, you know, take classes. There are so many things that I've learned on YouTube because they're not things that we're teaching in school or easily available, but I want to find out about it. And just a little bit of that with my like on the job knowledge and talking to customers, whatever, you can be in the room and be at the table wherever you want to be. And if you ever feel like you do not belong, all the comments that Monica made, I fully agree. Go talk to a friend, go talk to somebody else, but also show yourself the same grace that you would show somebody else. If any of your friends or coworkers or colleagues said, I don't feel like I belong here, you'd probably look at them like they were crazy. So don't let the voices in your head tell you that.
Go ahead, Maira.
That was great.
This
I
is really
echo
good.
all of
Both
that.
Yeah.
I'll answer quickly. So a few things that I do when I'm feeling really stressed or overwhelmed is just get my body moving, go for a walk if I'm at work, do a quick exercise at home. Sometimes it also just helps to just lay on the ground and not do anything. That's the end of your yoga session. Just lay there. If I'm feeling stressed at the end of a workday and it's already late, I just go to bed, because normally I found that when I wake up, whatever I was stressing about last night is not as big of a deal as I thought it was. So those are just quick things that I do. And then in terms of what to do if I ever feel like I don't belong, or if I feel like I don't have the necessary just expertise for something, is I look at what I've already accomplished and I kind of hype myself up that way. Like, well, I already led this project, I already completed this milestone, I already did all of this, this, and this. And I just remind myself that I'm worthy and I belong. Because you, as Joelle mentioned, you need to just shut that voice off that says you don't belong. Just keep telling it to yourself until you believe it. And I found that works. And if that doesn't work, reach out to your mentors, your friends, and then get them to hype you up.
And just as an FYI, this is all what they're calling the imposter syndrome, and everyone deals with it. But all of your advice is really great, because that's what we should be doing. And we're all dealing with that issue. Okay, Valerie, did you have another question? Or anybody else want to contribute to this one? Great. So Valerie, you have.
Yes, I have one of the questions that we have from Celeste Vasquez is, were you nominated for your award by others, or did you apply for it yourself? And if you applied for it yourself, do you have any tips on the application process? And who would like to take that question on?
Well,
I can get started. I probably won't be able to answer all of it, but so in Medtronic, I was nominated by the Hispanic Latino Network team as a person that should be recognized by this award, right? So the HLN leadership team saw my career progression, what I was doing, and they thought that I was worth it. Now you go into the administrative part, right? And you go into the, all right, we'd like to nominate you. You have a sponsor, you're gonna have someone that is gonna help you. But I was the program manager of making sure that things would get done on time. So I was like, okay, I need 4 recommendation letters. I need this. Nobody knows better than you your resume or what you have done, right? So I went in and looked at what is it that is required. And I started looking at letter from my manager, reach out, I need this from you, and some others with the support of the HLN leadership team who is nominating me for this. So I'm gonna say it started like that, and then I contributed on the logistics on how to get it completed on time.
I can add, so I was nominated through my leadership And so like Gerardo just said, it is very, like, it is a great honor. It does take a lot of work, right? It's like, hey, we're nominating you, but then here's all the work you got to do, right, to go through it, right? Obviously, you're the best person to make sure that your nomination is accurate and is strong. You do get support, and I definitely reached out to my network to ask them if they will be willing to share or to write a recommendation letter from maybe different aspects of maybe a peer, maybe a mentor, maybe someone who I've done volunteering with. So just think of different areas where you have contributed and you have people that can vouch for you. Other than that, enjoy the process. It was the first time ever I've written a biography on myself, and that was an interesting process. And obviously the outcome of it was fantastic, just to get recognized as such an amazing event. So just think about the magnitude of that, right? You're competing with other people who have sometimes a lot more experience, education than you do. So this is your time to not be shy, like Maira said, and just make sure you put everything you've done in there, and have a strong nomination.
Would anybody else like to chime in?
I
think
can
Maira,
go
you have-
quickly. Yeah, I can go quickly. So I was nominated by the folks on my core team for the ship recruiting efforts at Honeywell. And I will start by saying that I think it's always a good idea to surround yourself with people who are going to prop you up and who are going to mention your name in a room where opportunities come up. So I got very lucky that my core team recognized the efforts that I was doing both inside and outside of Honeywell. And it is a lot of work. At Honeywell, we've made it a point to nominate at least one person every year. And we nominated, I think, 5 people last year, but we only got one winner, unfortunately. But we're going to keep trying. And the reason that we are going to keep trying to nominate folks from Honeywell is because we think it's really important to recognize the talent we have. And so what we're doing at Honeywell is we're asking everybody who's ever gone to a ship conference to keep an eye out on people that they think are special and talented and doing big things in the community. And so my advice for the person who asked if you got nominated or if you've nominated yourself is to just look around yourself and see if there's somebody in your circle that you can nominate, and also just do what you think is important. And the award will come no matter what you do, no matter if you nominate yourself or if someone else does. But just make sure that you're giving back to the community, and you'll get recognized if you're advocating for yourself and if you're surrounding yourself with good people.
So as part of the committee, I want to say you guys all mentioned the fact that it is a lot of work to do this, the nomination. And sometimes we take that into account before we nominate people. Also, you mentioned corporate. Yes, corporate, we get more nominations from corporate. And what we're trying to do is encourage the chapters. Like you said, Maira, look around. Who are the really people that we want to highlight? Because they go unrecognized because it does take time. But if you start acknowledging right now, some of the chapters have done that. They have made it a focus of nominating that year, at least one per area from their chapter. But I think it's really valuable because, like you said, it's not bragging. It's just acknowledging the wonderful people that we're surrounded by. Nicole, I know you're going to close out, but I wanted to, the comment that came in the Q&A is from David Schnepp is, everyone on this call provides such effective advice. Thank you. Most of all, the passion, authenticity, and specific nature of the advice comments is so inspiring. You guys all rock. Okay, so I think that was my closing. Thank you so much, you guys. You do rock. Thanks a lot. Okay, Nick, Valerie, Nicole.
Oh, thank you, everyone. Linda said it all right there. I think what you guys are doing is amazing. The fact that you're still giving back and you're still sharing your stories. And we're trying to reach as many members as we can to spread the word, to let them know that, hey, we're out there. We can make a difference. And let's pick someone else up. Let's keep highlighting people and individuals. And I love, Myra, how you were saying, keep a journal, keep a weekly. I feel like some of the chapters, when they are nominating their fellow members, I feel like they are keeping track of all that, because they're applications are superb. They are saying, they are really telling that story of that member, of that, you know, professional, that graduate student. I mean, goes on and on. But I think that's just so important, is to make sure that that story is told. So thank you all for everything.
And with that, thank you, Valerie. Thank you, Linda, for your time as our moderators and for your time on the committee. Thank you for all of our award winners for your telling your stories and sharing your time with us. You're on stage and everything's going on, but this is a little more in depth. So that's why we appreciate this time to get to know you a little bit more and a little bit of the why of you get selected for these awards, and not everyone gets to know all that. So I appreciate your time that you share with all of us and our members, that they also get to know you a little bit more. But I thank everyone who joined us tonight, and I hope those who hear this later get to do that as well. And hope everyone gets a chance to nominate someone this year, so that maybe you will be selected as a Star Award winner and join us on the stage this year as we join everyone at convention in Salt Lake City, where we'll be this year. So with that, thank you everyone again for your time tonight, and we will see you later. Have a good evening.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.
Oops. Thanks, Nicole, for everything.
Of course.